Travel is something that most people will do at some point in their lives. Not everyone, however, will leave the country that they're born in. George Washington did on one occasion. He went to Barbados in 1751. The only travel that he ever did outside what we now know as the United States of America. So today, let's talk about that. Hope you brought your sunscreen. He's a little pasty. This is a snapshot of George Washington. George Washington travels with his half-brother Lawrence to Barbados. And they leave in September of 1751 and finally arrive at the island in the Caribbean on November 3rd, 1751 as well. Now, it's an interesting trip. Washington is going with Lawrence for Lawrence's health. He has consumption, probably tuberculosis. It's a lung disease. And sadly, it will kill him before the end of 1752. Now, the reason they're going to Barbados is so that Lawrence will be able to recover. They're hoping that the air there will be more healthy for him than the air in Virginia. It isn't. Along the way, Washington describes every aspect of the trip in great detail. The location of the ship. He plots its course, where the wind's coming from, how fast they're moving. All of these mathematical principles that he's learned as a surveyor over the past few years, they are all evident in this diary. It is so interesting. Washington loves and understands mathematics. He sees new wildlife, dolphins, sharks, barracudas. He goes fishing. He eats several of them. A few of them he describes that they can never catch. It's very much a young person's experience. 19 years old he is during this trip. They arrive November 3rd, and they go to the house of Major Clark, seemingly a fairly connected individual. Described that he, though, went with reluctance, can't speak today, because smallpox was in the family. But he goes, after all, Lawrence convinces him. And the next few days are spent with all sorts of new experiences. Going to a play, seemingly for the first time. He sees the tragedy of George Barnwell. And he says that the character of Barnwell and several others were said to be well performed, which tells me that he hasn't much experience with theater and someone else had to tell him, but that was actually pretty good. He rubs elbows with merchants and governor's council members and generals and judges and highly influential people. He experiences the Sugar Islands, one of the most wealthy British colonies in Barbados, highly connected, highly influential, all sorts of very important people connected in and through Barbados. It's opening his eyes to the reality of the larger British Empire outside the Northern Neck in Virginia, outside Williamsburg. And then, on November 16th, he simply says, was strongly attacked with the smallpox. The rest of that entry tells us that he didn't recover until December 12th, nearly 6 weeks later. So this once-in-a-lifetime trip that he has, this opportunity, the first time and the last time he ever leaves what we now know as the continental United States, he spends half of it trying not to die from smallpox. He finally returns, recovers, and is immune from that disease for the rest of his life, which comes in quite handy because he's going to be surrounded by smallpox for the next 40 or 50 years until he dies. When he gets back to Virginia by himself, because Lawrence stays in Barbados for a few more weeks, he describes Williamsburg as a great metropolis. And I sense in that comment a bit of sarcasm. He's been outside Virginia. He's seen what the greater British Empire looks like. And the colonial capital of Virginia is not nearly as impressive to someone who's been other places. It pales in comparison to New York and Philadelphia, let alone Barbados. He also gets to meet, for the first time, it seems, the Royal Governor of Virginia, Robert Dinwiddie. That connection becomes important for him over the next few years and the French and Indian War. So Washington on this trip, this travel experience, not only experiences smallpox and has to live through it, thankfully, for him, but he also sees a larger part of the world and its ups and downs, its positives, its negatives. And I think it's a perspective that shifts some of his thinking. Check out George Washington's Barbados Diary, 1751 to 52. The editors do an amazing job, not just with putting information about his diary in it, but also his world and the world of Barbados at this point in time. It's fascinating to compare Barbados with Virginia and Washington's experience in both places, and this is a great resource to do that. I hope to see you all at some point soon. Take care of yourselves.